Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be sitting down and having a heart attack together. Yay! Last year, a UK network paid 250 different people to sit down and watch 40 of the scariest movies. Everyone was given heart rate monitors and the movies were ranked based on which movies gave the users the highest heart rates. And out of the 40 scariest movies, Sinister was found to be the scariest film, which is not surprising by any means, but they decided to do it again this year and throw in a bunch of new scary movies that came out in the last 12 months. And for the most part, the top 10 stayed pretty much the same, except for the new scariest movie, Host, kicking Sinister to second place. Host is a short horror film that takes place completely over a Zoom call. The whole movie, it's just one 40-minute Zoom call, and it got the scariest movie of all time. It beat Insidious, Sinister, The Conjuring, all the heavy hitters. And since I love scary movies and it's finally spooky season, I figured I had to check this movie out just to see how scary it actually was. And while I was at it, I thought, why not get a heart rate monitor and do it just like they did, just to see how accurate this rating really was. So I did. And not going to lie, it did not go as I was planning. If you're new here, hi, welcome to the channel. Don't forget to go down and smash that subscribe button if you enjoy the video. Only 8% of the people watching the video are subscribed, so if you're part of the 90% that's not subscribed, what are you doing? Go down and dropkick that subscribe button so you don't get punched in the knee by Lord Farquaad. We also have a Discord server, and we just held our annual spooky art contest. Shout out to the winners, Morat, Zelzoid, and Jinja Ninja. I'm gonna put the rest of the submissions in the credits, so be sure to watch until the end of the video to check those out, but go down and punch that subscribe button in the face.
Corre, 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 que nadie te pueda alcanzar. No me podrás atrapar, soy el hombre de jengibre. ¡Eres un monstruo!
Unfortunately, Farquaad is not what everyone's running from in this film. I do feel like it would be a fun, unique take on the horror genre, but no one's picked it up yet. Instead, we have another entry into the video chat horror genre. A more popular film similar to this you might have heard of is Unfriended, where a group of friends are on a video call for the entire movie, but this movie was shorter than I expected. The whole thing, including credits, is just 56 minutes long, and it's about a group of friends during COVID who get together on a Zoom call to summon a demon for fun. Yes, I know quarantine left a lot of us very bored and stuck at home, but I don't think I ever came close to summon a demon bored. The first character we meet, Haley, hops on a Zoom call and gets all of her friends together to do a seance. She invites the medium in, and then one of her friends tries to talk to a past loved one who doesn't exist.
The name Jack's come to mind.
Do you know anyone called Jack who's passed?
Yeah, she pranked the medium, but joke's on her. Apparently an evil demon saw the invite and still came right on in. And then the demon terrorizes all of them through the internet, slowly killing them off one by one. And unfortunately, I didn't realize this until after the fact, but I think the best way to watch this movie is on a laptop with headphones while you're alone in the dark at night. If anyone is going to watch this movie, that is how I recommend doing it. You know what else is fun to do at night when you can't sleep because you just watched this terrifying demon movie? Play Hero Wars, the sponsor of today's video. I want to take a little break from the video to tell you about the game Hero Wars. Hero Wars is an online role-playing action game with a variety of PvP and PvE modes. You can fight against powerful bosses and experience the campaign story, which is awesome. It feels just like a classic fantasy game, and while you complete your missions, you can collect loot and upgrade your champions. This game has more than 50 unique heroes. Each one has their own unique abilities, so you can combine and assemble different teams to battle in the arena or traverse the endless tower mode. There's a lot of fun to be had online. You can create guilds, fight with other players, and constantly rise up the ranks. Join the game now and get a super chest with a secret hero, as well as 62 emeralds and 30,000 gold. Hero Wars is available on mobile devices and also runs in a web browser. Scan this QR code or download the game from the link in the description. Thank you so much to Hero Wars for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you in the game. Now, back to having a heart attack. Haley is the one that organized the whole thing, and it kind of seems like there's already something going on behind the scenes before the movie even starts. She's super nervous and looks kind of freaked out. I don't know, I was just curious what the backstory is, what happened that made her want to do the whole summoning a demon thing in the first place. There's a lot in this movie that's left up to interpretation, we'll say. Unfortunately, there's a little more than I would have preferred. There's just too many times where they introduce new things that they abandon so quickly. There's multiple characters that they spend a decent amount of their short time introducing and setting up, only for them to immediately disappear for the entire film until like the last 5 minutes. With such a short runtime, I feel like it would have helped the film to trim some of the fat out, honestly. I feel like they could have done without 2 or 3 of the characters and left more room for the main story or more scares. The jump scares in this movie are what make this film. I love films that are shown completely through screens. I don't know why, but I love them. Look at Project Almanac, Searching, Radar, Chronicle. I was almost sure that I would love this one just the same. And while I did enjoy this film, I felt like there was a bunch of little things that could have made it so much better. And I don't know if that's because I went into it expecting it to literally be the scariest movie of all time, or because I watched a bit of the trailer, or maybe even because I never spent my quarantine days on Zoom. I didn't have to for work or school, so maybe it resonates better with people that did. I was hoping for a little more story and a little more scares. While the jump scares they had were really good and almost guaranteed to scare everyone, they were just too few and far between to make up for the lack of story. I think one of the best parts of this movie was how believable and grounded the cast felt. It literally did feel like just a group of close friends hanging out and chilling on Zoom together. You could feel like you're a part of this group and we were just all unwinding after a long day. And believe it or not, that's how this film started. The director had all of his friends, a lot of which who ended up in the movie, hop on a Zoom call in which he proceeded to allude to something in his attic, only to shove his phone up there for a big jump scare prank on his friends. Did that get you? I literally told you it was coming. Shame on you. Now, this blew up online and helped convince Shudder, the horror movie streaming service, to give them the green light to make this film. The prank itself was done super well, probably the best of its kind. But turning this into a full-length movie is a completely different story. And I had a hard time believing this could come anywhere close to Insidious or Sinister. In fact, this movie was more like Paranormal Activity COVID than either of these. After all these friends hop online and we get past the first 15 minutes of technical difficulties with a video call, they bring on their medium, this woman who kind of guides the friends as well as you watching it through what's going on and what's going to happen if something goes wrong, which of course it does.
If you're trying to give us a sign, please knock one more time.
But I mean, you're trying to summon a demon, so what did you think was going to happen? That you would summon a nice demon that worked at McDonald's and the worst they could do was bring you a Filet-O-Fish meal with a toy? So they summon a demon on accident, and through the internet, there's a demon at each person's house, and then out of nowhere, the medium gets like knocked out and drops out of the Zoom call, never to be heard from again. But of course, they don't address it. Like literally a hat rack or something falls on her, ending her connection, and that's it. She's dead. I don't know. It's never addressed again if it was the demon or not, and she just kind of disappears. I wish they would have followed up on that because I need to know if she dead. They also spent a lot of time over multiple occasions introducing these items that each person had to have with them that were related to a past loved one that they could use to help them communicate. And a lot of those got left in the dust too. Really, only the music box makes a reappearance in the end, and it's only barely playing in the background for a minute. It's just, when you have 50 minutes to tell your story, I feel like you should spend a little more time focusing on the story and setting up scares for later in the movie. I think this could have been solved if they just prioritized what they use their time on a little better. I could have easily done without Regina's ex-boyfriend she's stuck living with, as well as Teddy and his wife and all the items that we never saw. We never see the boyfriend again, and he doesn't serve any purpose in the film, and Teddy and his wife disappear as soon as we're about to start the movie and play Summon the Demon, only to return at the end for a minute and be an extra person for the internet demon to kill off. I would have much rather had more time to get to know the main cast and see them get chased around their houses by demons and play around with some of the video call features and scares a little more, because when the movie was doing all of this, I loved it. It was creative and it was scary and it was super intriguing. They did the flower on the floor with the demon, just like Paranormal Activity, and they even had the demons trigger zoom filters, which I thought was really cool. There's just this floating face in the middle of the room, and it's standing still until it snaps over and looks into your soul right before you see it run through the flower at you. That's terrifying. That's the scariest thing, is the unknown. And I think a little more of that would have helped the film out a lot scare factor wise, as well as the story. There was another cool moment I appreciated where earlier in the film, Caroline shows off her video background she took earlier so there can be two of her, and this little gimmick came back later for a huge payoff.
Look, it's me.
Oh my god.
Got a twin. Oh no.
She sets up this video as her background, and later in the middle of everyone having demons haunt them and the girls are looking for her, all you can see is her video playing until all of a sudden, out of nowhere, her head gets smashed into the screen, and it's absolutely terrifying. And then she's out of it for like 10 minutes. She's just gone until things really start to heat up. And then, if you look closely at the bottom of the screen, you can see she's sending a bunch of gibberish messages, and you're just sitting there like, what is this? Is it even supposed to be in the movie? Like, who did this get past? And then out of nowhere, her head jump scares onto screen as her demon starts bashing her head into the computer. The random messages she was sending? Yeah, she was sending those with her forehead. There's this feeling of vulnerability that's conveyed really well with this film. Each person is completely on their own in their own space and no one can help them. There's no security in the idea of teaming up in this movie because everyone's separated in quarantine. In most horror movies, there's at least once where you think to yourself, why don't you all just stay together? You're way safer and can probably actually take the enemy out since there's more of you than there is of them. Just stick together.
This isn't right. We should split up.
Yeah, good idea.
Really?
Okay, so I want to show you guys what my heart rate looked like while watching this movie. First, take a look at this. This is the average heart rate of the 250 people that watched the movie that rated it the #1 movie. It kind of just keeps getting scarier and scarier with 3 solid jump scares along the way. And now this is my graph. As you can see, it's pretty consistent throughout with the 3 biggest scares in the second half, which after going back and watching are still just as scary. You can see here I peaked in the beginning pretty high just because I was expecting it to be super scary, and it was one of those moments where it just kind of let me down. They like built up all this tension and then there was no real scare. The movie waits 30 minutes before it gives you any real scares, and I just wish there were some better scares in the first half. Other than me psyching myself out in the first 2 minutes, the only other scare was here when they did another fake scare just to psych you out, and it ended up being the Medium's Amazon Prime delivery.
What was that? Oh, I'm so sorry. It must be my delivery. I'm really sorry. I'll be back in a second.
The first big scare where my heart rate jumped up pretty high for the first time due to an actual scare, Caroline hears something moving in her house, so she goes to check in the attic and she's just sitting there pointing her camera into this dark abyss, and you're just waiting on the edge of your seat for something to jump out of the attic and snatch her up. It's just really scary. You don't know what's up there and it just sits there for so long. And then she comes back down and gets a selfie stick to put her phone on and shoves you on the phone into the attic. So she doesn't even have to look. It's just you and the other girls on the Zoom call looking around in the attic, and you see a pair of legs dangling in the shadows. And it's not even a jump scare, but just that alone was so terrifying. But that's it. No jump scare. It's just like you see legs and then when she looks back, they're gone. It's scary, but I don't know if I would call it a jump scare. For how much they built it up and how much tension they had to play with, I almost wish something jumped out at me or at least fell over or something more aggressive happened. But the second big scare beat this last one. The second scare is one of the first times that something big finally happens, and it just comes out of left field. Emma gets attacked while Radina is gone and muted, and then the demon finally chills out and Radina is in the background on the phone, and while she's talking, her oven just randomly turns on and starts burning. So now all the girls are panicking and she tries to put out the fire and runs over to see what's wrong. And out of nowhere, her boyfriend falls from the ceiling. And her screen goes all Slenderman and gets staticky, and then it seems like the demon attacks her, and then you just can't see her anymore. This jump scare was so terrifying because as more things started happening, it just got crazier and crazier and kept on escalating. It was also terrifying to see these things happening while she's muted because there was a communication barrier. It felt like we were watching a movie and we were trying to tell the main character that there's a demon behind her, but since they're in a movie, she couldn't hear us. But it was their real friend in real time on a call with them, so you can only scream so loud and move your arms so much in your tiny little box on her screen to get them to notice you before their house is on fire or they're dead. Now, the last and the biggest jump scare actually impressed me because if you look in the top left-hand corner, there's actually a countdown to when you're going to get scared. So you're just sitting there watching it count down and you know it's coming. But as it gets closer, you just get more scared because you know it's coming. It's just black. You can't see anything, and then when it hits you so hard it scares you out of your seat. They were trying to use a camera flash on a Polaroid to see what was in the room because the lights went out, and Not being able to see anything except for a split second of blinding light every 20 seconds is terrifying. Has anyone seen the movie Lights Out? Tell me in the comments if you have. That's another one of my favorites that I need to rewatch. But if you have, you know what I'm talking about. This was such a great jump scare. That's what I wanted to see the entire movie. It just left you with this feeling of vulnerability and unsettledness as you take yourself out of the movie and try to put yourself back into reality. If you're going to watch this movie, please watch it on a laptop at night in the dark with headphones and tell me how it is. In fact, I might try to watch it again just like this because I feel like the experience would be so much scarier. Also, I couldn't help but feel like this movie could have used more story-wise. There's not really a plot to follow. Everything just kind of happens within 40 minutes. It's just kind of like, oh, hey, let's do this fun thing tonight. And then someone jokes around and accidentally invites a demon into the Zoom call and he slightly terrorizes them for 20 minutes and then kills them all. I think the movie struggled with having so many characters in it or having so little time to utilize them and still tell their story. They could have easily done without 3 of them so that we get more time with the main characters to develop story and throw up a few more jump scares, because the jump scares were at least 7 out of 10. The build up sometimes was so great and then there was just no jump scare to accompany it. The 3 best ones were amazing, but unfortunately, I watched the first half of the movie wondering where all the scares were the whole time. There was just so many potentially scary moments that were never followed up with and fell flat. They would set themselves up for these great scares and then just turn around and walk away from them. The acting in this movie was great. It felt like a group of friends that you could see yourself being on a Zoom call with, just hanging out. From what I can tell, they were all real life friends and not most of them were professional actors, but they still did such a great job selling this night of being on a Zoom call. I think Teddy was the only guy that was a little too much for this movie and kind of the oddball out. All the other girls seemed like real friends who were just chill with each other and were having a girls' night talking about stuff. And this was very refreshing and relatable to watch. I really enjoyed this part of the movie. They felt like such normal people. Overall, I think I would give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. It doesn't waste your time by being 2 hours long for what it is. The few big jump scares are really good and everyone's going to be scared by them, but it's not something that I'm going to watch every year. The story is very forgettable and it's just a good hour of fun with a few jump scares. That being said, I don't think this film was better than Sinister or Insidious. When I was watching it, I had such a mediocre reaction to the overall movie. I was worried that I did the heart rate monitor wrong or something, so I had to test it out and do some jumping jacks just to make sure it was responding correctly. I might just not be someone who gets very scared by horror films, but I do think watching it on a laptop in the dark would have helped better than on a TV because that's literally the structure of the film. But that's what I want you to do. Watch this movie on a laptop in the dark and tell me how scary it is. I think I'm going to do the same and see if I can get any friends to watch it with me. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. It's totally free and it really helps out the channel. We're trying to get to 250K soon. We're so close. If you have any underrated scary movie suggestions, please put them down in the comments and I'll check them out. I'll be back very soon with another video, but until then, I will see you in the comments. Peace.